Okay, I have been asked so many questions over the years since I did my Nadi reading and posted a video about it. And a lot of people, especially Westerners, those in Europe, Germany and UK, Canada, and the United States, have really been reaching out and asking how they can get their done. And a lot of these people will need to be talking to my guest today, Dr. Q from the Indian Palm Leaf Reading Institute, if I got that correct.
Yes.
And when I met you, which was really kind of strange how we ran into each other on the internet, opened doors, and I thought, this is the guy that needs to explain, number one, how do you get a reading done if you're not going to India? Because if you're not going to India in person to sit in front of one of these readers, you're taking your chances. How do you share information? How do you know you can be trusted what you get? You're really at the mercy of the internet. So it's nice to have a pioneer in that field. And Dr. Q, I hope you don't mind me calling you that. You're such a young guy, so I'm calling you a pioneer in the field of the internet Nadi readings. People are hungry. There's a spiritual hunger, there's a physical hunger, there's emotional hunger, there's a wanting to know. And it's not just, for the serious people, it's not just ego-driven, I want to know about me. It's really, I need tools. That's the best way I can explain to people that are sincere. They really are looking for tools to handle their life, find their purpose, and where they're going. So I would like you to kind of explain, number one, because we've talked previously.
Yes.
I'm fascinated with your background.
Thank you.
How you got ill and how you discovered Nadi Astrology and how your personal thing worked out for you. And then what drove you to want to share this with the world? Because basically what you've done is you've turned this into a gift for others. I mean, this is not a big, huge money-making thing at all. You really you really created a connection between the East and the West, and people are coming to you, and satisfied people from what I gathered. In fact, I've been so impressed by you that I'm going to have my own personal reading done, and we will share that later on this year. But just for the people watching this video, I'm having a personal reading done, and I didn't think I needed another reading. The first reading I had was a decade ago, but for my reading, it only went a decade. It ended in 2020 when we're doing this interview. So I didn't know what that exactly meant at this point. So we'll discuss that afterwards. But first off, good morning to you, Dr. Q. And I know it's not morning where you're at. Where are you at? And tell us about yourself.
Hello, namaste, and good morning to you, Reverend. My name is Dr. Q. Q is my first name, and the doctor is real, so it's not just a stage thing here. I was an academic, so I do have a PhD. But when I started to get my PhD, people started to call me Dr. Q, and it stuck. And, believe it or not, it's 25 years now, so I look maybe younger than my age. My look might reveal. It's the good Botox that I use, you know. So anyways, jokes aside, I would say I have had an unusual upbringing because my father is Persian, my mom's Austrian, European, and my mom moved to Iran when it was still a normal country. So I grew up in Iran until 79, and some of you were mature enough, you might remember there was a revolution, and in 79 we had to flee the country. Because my dad's family are not Muslim, and we would have been persecuted, tortured, and killed. So it was a matter of must, not a choice. I guess that was my first exposure to life per se, because up until 79, I lived with a golden spoon in my mouth because my dad was very wealthy. But overnight, from kings to paupers, basically, and my mom became the breadwinner. So I do know how it feels to be wealthy, even though I was just a kid, like wealthy, not just a little money here and there. I also know what it means to be poor. Not like dirt poor, but poor in comparison. We really struggled a lot just to survive the first few years after the revolution. And I have no idea how my mom did it, really have no idea. She must have worked 60 hours a week. And at the same time, looking after the two boys that she had. And I think we turned out okay. I got a PhD, my brother an MD. And so very grateful for what she did. My father doesn't live anymore, but my mom is still alive. And then some of you might remember another catastrophe that happened called Chernobyl. At the time, this nuclear power plant was in the USSR, which doesn't exist anymore. And Chernobyl now is in a new country called the Ukraine. It burst in 86, I believe, 87. And the nuclear cloud traveled all over Europe, because at the time I lived in Vienna, Austria, capital city of Austria. My mom's Austrian. And it dumped its nuclear waste over Central Europe. And even though it's not public and the politicians try to keep it hush-hush, I guarantee you it's because of that incident that I got cancer. So from 16 to 19, in a span of 3 years, I spent about 6 months in the hospital, a long time, battling with all sorts of issues, not only the cancer itself, chemotherapy, surgeries, radiation therapy, but my immune system was so weak after that that I caught many, many other diseases for a few years, and I had to be hospitalized. But give or take about 19, things stopped, and I became an average healthy person, even though only now I realize I never recovered from all the chemotherapy and the therapies that I received, because I struggled with health ever since. Being in hospital for such a long time and battling, I guess, with cancer and trying to survive, I realized that, or started to think rather, how come I survive and people that I shared the room with did not? Why? So when I got cancer, I was very upset and angry, and I said, God, why me? I'm just a 16-year-old teenage kid. And when I came out of hospital at 19, I was like, God, why me? Why did I survive and so many others did not? And I truly got the very best treatment possible at the time, yet it was so terrible, as some of you who went through chemotherapy might know. And that puts me on a spiritual journey, really. That's the one major thing in life that put me on the right track, I guess. I'm trying to figure things out. I'm trying to pierce the veil, because I realized there's got to be something behind the veil, something that I cannot see, something much bigger that meets the eye. So my multicultural upbringing and cancer as a teenager opened me up towards everything, literally everything. So I would consider myself a self-exploration junkie. I've done it all. Individual psychotherapy, group therapies, being stuck in the house with a bunch of people just to see how you interact, went to shamans, in the jungle, no water, no electricity, went to healers across the globe, the most famous one of them being John of God in Brazil. Been there several times. I've done it all. I've done more than most people, really. I've spent a lot of money and time and energy just to see what's out there. Can I somehow grasp the bigger picture? Even though I cannot see it, even though I cannot understand it, but there's got to be something, because I've seen miracles happen. I have. Literally, I've seen it. With John of God, I've seen people who were destined to die if they had a month or so to go, and yet they survived, and they're completely cured. Then I've seen drug addicts and alcoholics going to shamans, and even though Western medicine didn't help them, boom, after a few months with the shaman, they came out clean. So I think it's important to know where I am coming from, as otherwise I would have never ended up getting a reading. And 8 years ago, I met a girl from Hungary. Oh, and the PhD is academia. I studied law because after 3 years in a hospital, I couldn't stomach the thought of studying medicine. And those of you who are familiar with Persians, really only medicine counts or PhD counts. So medicine was a no-go for me. I just couldn't picture myself being in a hospital all day long after my experience. So I wasn't quite sure what to study, so I studied law, but all the way to a PhD. And I thought I could be a good academic. I'm a good speaker, I'm good with people, and I really enjoy teaching people. Yet the red tape in academia bored the hell out of me, and I just couldn't picture myself doing that. So I turned a hobby of mine, which was traveling. I've been all over the world, really. Guesstimate about 100 countries I've seen so far, into my profession. So I started a travel business in Washington, D.C. Well, originally in England, because I studied in England, lived in England, and then we moved the whole thing to the U.S. because most of our folks live in the U.S. So in Washington, D.C., we established ourselves and started an academic travel company, which then became one of the fastest growing businesses in the United States. We're featured in Entrepreneur Magazine, and I interviewed with them, and I was very honored. I had no idea that we were that successful, really. I made less money than some of my staff, really, because as people think you have a big company, that means you're wealthy. No, not really. I wanted to make sure that my staff are okay, and that's what really mattered. Anyway, in 2009, believe it or not, there was a financial crisis, and even though we were running a very tight ship, and that's the reason why we survived 2008, 2009, we had to close shop, we went bankrupt. 70% minus when it comes to bookings, 7-0 overnight. And the year before, the dollar collapsed, literally collapsed, from $1.18 to the euro to $1.60 to the euro. So every million euro that I had to buy, I lost $400,000. You cannot recover from that, but yet we survived that year because we really ran a very tight ship. But 2019, the dollar was still very weak and minus 70% in bookings. There was no choice. We had to declare bankruptcy. So at age 39, 40, that's 10 years ago, I lost everything. I had to file personal bankruptcy, pension plan gone, my homes and my investments, everything gone. Those of you who went through bankruptcy, you know that too, what happens. And I thought, boy, oh boy, why is the Lord or the universe testing me so much? And it kind of like made me relive as an adult what my father must have gone through in 1979. He was really wealthy. I mean, I wasn't wealthy at all. I was just a lucky guy who made decent money. My dad inherited big money, and he lost everything, 79, at the age of 49, so 10 years older than I was when I lost everything. Thank God I didn't have any family or kids, so it wasn't that bad. Otherwise, it would have been a lot more stress how to secure my family. But in 2010, I started to rebuild myself, and now I'm back on my feet, and it's all good, and I got investments again. As I believe it's a mindset. It really is a mindset, how to make money and how to find jobs and help other people. Anyway, I'm very grateful to the universe, as even though it's testing me, I, at the same time, have been given great gifts by the universe. So 2012, I caught a virus, and the virus literally sent me into the ICU. I was lucky enough to have a girlfriend at the time. She's Hungarian, and that's the main reason why I'm here in Budapest. So I am live now in Budapest, in my apartment, and I want to show everyone the true me. So I'm not in an office with a spiritual background. I'll show you my home, really. That's how I live. So that people who work with us know that I'm a real guy, I'm authentic, I'm not trying to pretend to be someone that I'm not. And that has worked for me very well throughout my entire life. So I meet this girl on one of my trips, and I fell in love with her. And I remember I was in Budapest visiting her, and I couldn't even breathe. And she said, Q, this is not good. This is more than just a cold. You need to go back to Vienna to your cancer hospital, maybe. Cancer is back. So I go to that hospital, and the doctor is like, oh my God, that you're alive is a miracle. And I said, what? I took the train from Budapest to Hungary. I took the metro to the hospital. What are you talking about? I'm here. He says, well, you have to stay here, and that's it. You cannot leave anymore. Well, I stayed, and thank God I did, because that night I collapsed. God didn't want me to be gone yet. just a couple of days later, and I would be dead by now. So 2-3 days, and that the temperature was extremely high. Regrettably, I forgot the Fahrenheit, but in Celsius, it's 43, life dangerous high. And they couldn't bring it down for days. So after a week trying to bring it down with all sorts of things, I ended up in the ICU because my heart rate went up to 200, 220, crazy, and extremely high temperature. So I spent 8 days in the ICU, and then gradually they were able to bring it down. But all in all, I was in the hospital for about a month. And when I was in the ICU, and I told myself, man, I have no idea why I get sick so many times. Somehow, then and there, I thought to myself, maybe it has to do with karma. Maybe, maybe I'm carrying karma from a previous life. Maybe I can clean it. And don't forget, I've done many spiritual things up until that time, many. Energy healing, Reiki education myself. I went through the program, you name it, more than most, I should say. So I'm open to it. And then it's because of my girlfriend that she told me about palm readings. And even though I think I read a book written by Deepak Chopra called The Book of Secrets, which was released a long time ago, I don't know, 2002, 2003 or something like that. One chapter is dedicated to his own palm reading. You read a lot of stuff during your life, and most of it I forget. I'm the first one admitting I don't retain much. I got ADD. I suck it all up, but then after a while, it's useless information, so I forget. But then my girlfriend said, hey, there's palm readings, and you can clean your karma by getting a reading done. It's like, really? If I survive, I told myself, in the ICU, if I come out of it, I'm going to get a reading done. Because this nonsense, me being in hospital for so long, has to stop. And that is the reason why I got a reading done. Now, the reading itself was, of course, mind-blowing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking to you about it 7 years later.
Did you have any hang-ups about the background you're coming out religion-wise, going to another culture, another religion type thing to get something done? Was that a barrier at all for you, or were you just open about it?
First of all, I need to know that I am not a believer in organized religion at all. I'm actually against it. Any and all religions, they're all nonsense. And I don't want to upset anyone. It's my own personal belief system. Do I believe in a higher power? Absolutely. Don't get me wrong. I truly believe there's something. I do not know what that something is. Either it's our combined consciousness, I don't know, energies of something, whatever. But there is something for sure. So I'm a true believer in, I'm not even hesitant to say God, or them. She, he, whatever that might be, it's all good. I believe in that. But do I believe in religion? Not at all. It's the one thing, and I'm sorry for saying so. If I had one wish, really one wish only, I would abandon religion. I would say, as of today, no more religion. Boom. That would be the biggest uniter on planet Earth. But that aside, no, of course, it was not an issue for me at all. So the reading, now you need to know, I just met this girl from Hungary. I just had lost everything, my home, pension plan, the whole 9 yards, because I'd just gone bankrupt. So the stress levels that I just survived were huge. And hence my immune system was weak. And that's the reason why I caught a virus. No idea which virus, because they just told me it must be a virus, because only a virus can cause so much damage. So I was thinking to move to Hungary. I was thinking about it. It's an exotic place. Beautiful. Budapest is a beautiful city. I've been to Budapest 100 times minimum before. So I thought, why not? Let's move there. So in the reading, the reader, an Indian, obviously an Indian guy, and I had an interpreter because the Indian guy only speaks Tamil, the reader. When the reader told me, you forget about the US, you will live in Hungary.
And that's without you giving him a conversation about your background and
zero. He knows nothing about me. He knows the thumbprint. He knows what else did he know? My thumbprint, the gender, of course, and
where you live.
and my country of birth. That's it. And so when a reader, an Indian, and you need to know that for most Indians, being a reader or not, but for most Indians, their universe is about 100-mile radius around their village. That's it. That's their universe, their entire lives. Even going out of state is something unique. So when a person tells me, oh, you'll be living in Hungary, I nearly crapped myself. I thought, oh my God, this guy doesn't even know where Hungary is. I'm not trying to be disrespectful here at all. I know India, I go to India many, many times. But this guy has no clue where Hungary is. And yet he says, yeah, you'll be living in Hungary. And I was thinking about moving to Hungary. And of course, when a reader tells me that, a guy who doesn't even know where Hungary is, I thought to myself, well, that's a good decision. So I'll move. Hence, I'm still here, by the way. That was one thing that he told me among many things. But the most striking aspect of it was, first of all, during the matching process, and we're going to talk about the whole process later on during this talk. But my dad is Persian, and his first name is Siavash. I guarantee you, the Indian guy has never heard in his life that name. So when during the matching, he says, dum badam badam Siavash, like your father's name is Siavash. Wow. Like, I couldn't believe it. And I said, dum badam, my mom's name is Gisela, is also not a very common name. He said, dum badam Gisela. Holy smokes. Wow. So just the matching itself and being told names that I know 1,000% sure he had no clue about these names. And he also told me, oh, you have parents from 2 different continents. Amazing. It was absolutely amazing. He said, you were born in one country, lived in another country, and now are in a different country. I said, wow, that's true too. I've lived in quite a few countries over my lifetime. And then so the Hungary thing came. But the most striking thing is, he says, oh, and by the way, you're going to bring this to the West. I was like, what do you mean bring this to the West? Yeah, no, palm readings. I thought he's kidding with me, in case you haven't noticed yet, I'm not Indian. I'm not. I'm a white guy. Spiritual, yes, but I have nothing to do with India at all. So I thought it's just a joke, and it went in one ear and out the other. And yet I'm here talking to you about palm readings. So the official reason, I guess, is I just started to tell people about this experience, and people wanted to get a reading done. And then I realized not many people, actually almost no one, would ever go to India. To some people, India is a huge magnet, a huge draw. It's a very spiritual place and great food and this and the other. But actually to most people, Western people that is, India is quite a shocker. They're like, oh no, India, I won't go there. And because there was so much interest in the beginning, of course, I told my family members, my mom, and so forth, and friends, I had to realize a lot of interest, but I cannot help them. There is no way, because they didn't want to go to India. And then over time, I referred people to get a reading done, and they weren't so happy about a few things, because it's a very different culture, and Indians are not used to Western people at all. And then I thought, you know what, let me just help a little bit with being a moderator and make sure that they have a better experience. And that's when it's a gradual thing. There was no plan per se, I should say, but gradually, maybe 5 years ago or so, having referred quite a few people and having realized the need expressed to me by people getting a reading done and finding out more about their lives, I talked to my girlfriend, who is now not my girlfriend anymore, but we're soul sister, soul brother. I love her dearly. She's my best friend. And so we work together and we run this institute. I said, you know what? Let's see if we can do it professionally. Like if we can establish something where a Western person, primarily a US person, because I live most of my adult life in the United States, would be comfortable enough to get a reading done and see if that works. And so in the early days, we had very simple Skype talks and connecting people. And then just grew more and more and more and more. And I realized, oh boy, this is not just a little hobby. it's turning into work. So we really had to establish a company in the US. So we're registered in the US. We're governed by California laws, consumer protection laws. Our banking and taxation is done in the United States. And I'm very open about it because I want people to feel comfortable and understand that I'm a Western person, and I know that I would be hesitant too to do it with somebody I have no clue about, and their bank account is somewhere in India maybe, and what if the reading is nonsense and fake? I'll lose the money and this and the other. So from the get-go, I said, you know what, I would consider myself an extremely ethical and straightforward person. Coming from a Persian family, my father from childhood onwards said, you have only one thing in life, and that's your name, your good name. Don't screw it up. Your name is who you are. And if people trust you, you can go a long way. And if they don't trust you, then that's it. So
your institute actually guarantees, like when somebody pays for the service to look for the leaf, and we'll talk about the process.
Yes.
If they find it, it's refundable, and if they can't do a reading on the person, that's refundable as well, right?
We refund the money if somebody says, "Hey, I didn't like the reading at all." It's like, okay, fine. Here's your money back. It is what it is. I know. I've seen the Dalai Lama too, in person, and when I was in one of his talks, he made an incredible statement, not to me personally, but into the audience, because somebody had asked about, is he doing a good job? It's quite a few years ago that I met him. And he said, well, very simple. Can you help 70% of the people that come to you? And he said, yes. I said, well, then you're on the right track. So my aim is to at least have 70% satisfaction rates. I cannot, and he said, the reason for that is you cannot help everyone. Even if you are the very best surgeon, the very best teacher, the very best therapist, the very best, whatever you might be, very best, and be genuine and authentic and do it with your full heart, you cannot help everyone, period. That's just the way it is. And the only way to go about that is to be ethical and straightforward. And if somebody says, no, this service didn't give me anything, I'm not fighting with you. I said, I'm just sorry I couldn't help you. And even though I'm losing money, I'll give you the money back. Not a problem, really, it's not a problem. And we've been going about this ever since we started the Institute. And I must say, in the past 5 years, I don't know, I didn't even think about it, we were talking about this, but I would say maybe 5 people said the reading wasn't worth the money. I was like, sorry that it wasn't worth the money, even though I watched the reading myself and I know it was not the reader's fault. They got 100% money back. And it is on our website, terms and conditions. And I, on purpose, established everything in California because California has the toughest consumer protection laws in the world, by the way. And we're governed by it, period. So I want Western people to be as comfortable as possible and know that there is a real human, me, behind the whole thing. And that everyone who works with us, I try to infuse this ethical standard. That's it. And I'm very humbled to be surrounded by very spiritual and authentic team in India. They truly live and breathe what they do. And I've only seen beautiful work from them. And so whoever comes to us, I'm basically just a conduit. I'm a connector.
I did watch a YouTube video just this week. One of your people having reading, a woman who actually broke down in tears rolling down her cheeks, sobbing about what she was hearing because it felt so right to her. That was impressive.
Yeah, it's Erica, Dr. Erica Middlemiss. I met her at one of our expos that we go to, the biggest spiritual expo in the United States called a Conscious Life Expo, and it happens in February at the Hilton at LAX. Whether it's going to happen in 2021, I'm not so sure, but it's been going on for many years, and we've been going there for many years too. And I, at random, met her, And then she heard about this. She said, "Oh my God, I need to do this." And she runs a pretty big podcast. She's the co-host of one of the biggest spiritual podcasts in the world. When Apple iTunes still had the ranking, she said they've been always in the top 5, top 10. So a lot of listeners she has, and a beautiful, kind woman too. So she agreed to have it all filmed, recorded, and then put on YouTube so more people could learn about it. And she said, "I have no secrets. Whatever they will tell me, I'm more than happy to share live." I said, "Okay, thank you very much for doing so." And she did. And I was the moderator in that call. And we had our one of our senior readers, we had our office manager in India to be the interpreter. And it all turned out beautifully. So we made an interview just like you before her reading. And then she gave another podcast after her reading. And now soon we will have a follow-up interview to be on her show again. Yes, so.
Well, I found it was, you know what I found about that video good, because having gone to India and had my reading done and had my daughter's reading done there and watched some others, I'm an old guy and I got hearing problem already. But the accents and Indians speaking English and me understanding their English are not necessarily the same world.
No.
But when you're listening in and moderating and reading, watching some of your videos, that you're there to make sure that people understand and interpret. And so I'm quite happy with that, because a lot of people might sit there and listen to the whole thing and they're missing big chunks of it. And they don't understand the significance of certain things that are being told.
Sure.
So that's impressive.
Thank you. Well, the way we have set things up is in our office in India, there's a reader, and the reader is the person who actually can find the bundles, and I'll explain what a bundle is, and then identify the palm leaf within the bundle, because they know how to read ancient Tamil, and also are able to decode the message on the leaf, but they don't speak English. Most of them don't speak English, or if they do speak English, it's too basic for them to be able to use their English for work purposes. So we have an interpreter sitting next to him who then interprets into English. And I've spent significant money, out-of-pocket money over the years, not only to set things up the right way, but also to train the interpreters to speak better English. So we give them English lessons with Native American speaking Canadians, native speakers, so that they improve their English, and then the audience or the seeker has a better chance of understanding what's going on. Are they perfect? No, they're not. Of course not. Nonetheless, their English is getting better and better, and we train them also when it comes to customer care. What is it that a Western person needs? Punctuality. Man, it took quite some time.
Yes.
To get it all punctual. Again, I'm an India fan. Don't get me wrong, I really am an India fan, but the cultural differences are huge. And coming from Iran, punctuality to them means nothing too, regrettably, at least in the old days in Iran itself. So I understand there's similarities between India and Iran culturally speaking. And so we train them, customer service, punctuality, the English accent, and so forth. But in the call, because everything is done online, the safety and security of every seeker is of utmost importance to us. So not only do they have money back guarantee, and it's all done over Zoom, so they can do it from the comfort of their home. We also have a so-called moderator, a third person in the call. So the seeker, wherever they're from, and in the meantime, over the past 5 years, we've had seekers from Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Brazil, all over the US, of course, Canada, all over Europe, Russia, I don't know, really everywhere. And so there is a seeker wherever they are, and then there's the office in India, and there is our moderator. So Western person who sits in the call, actually the seeker connects first with the moderator, who says hello, and prepares the seeker for the upcoming matching process, and is with them the whole way from the very beginning to the very end. So in case the person doesn't understand the Indian accent English, the Western person steps in and says, That's what they said. And if they do understand the accent, they might not necessarily understand the meaning of the message. So then the moderator's job is to explain that's what it means. And also, many people need to just decompress after the reading because it's huge. And I understand because I had a reading done myself. It's huge. You need to somehow get it out of your system. And if they need to, then of course the moderator is there for them after the reading and just listens and maybe if necessary goes through the whole thing with them one more time so they understand and decompress, and then they can go to bed. Because if you come from California, the reading is very late given the 14-hour time difference to India. So regrettably, the only time we can offer for West Coast people is 10 p.m. starting your reading. And the time we give for East Coast people is 7 a.m. East Coast time. So not 10 p.m. West Coast time or 7 a.m. East Coast time. And so we run 2 readings per day. I mean, we can run 10 readings a day, but these are the 2 fixed slots. So there are 3 people watching the person getting a reading done. And then the whole thing gets edited. We'll record everything in a professional way. So we have someone, a professional person, who edits the whole thing because we record the matching, the reading, and we then insert pictures of the leaf and the name, the whole 9 yards. So it takes about 2 weeks after the reading. And then the seeker gets a downloadable link from us where they can download the recording of their reading. We take pictures of their palm leaf and send it to them. We also, a lot of chatting is going on to just convey the message better. A lot of chatting. So we also transcribe put the chatting into the chat history into a format and send it to them. And most importantly, also their pujas, the homework they need to do. We top it up and put it into good English in a PDF format and then send it to them alongside all the pictures they need from the gods and goddesses. So there is no research needed for them. It's all done. All they have to do is just follow the steps and they're good to go. So there's a lot of work behind it. A lot, I'm telling you. Way more than people realize to make this a smooth, relaxed, enjoyable, and yet educational, profound experience. And so that's the reason why it costs what it costs.
But your costs are pretty much like everybody else's. You're right there. Everybody's kind of in the same ballgame. There's nobody. I don't think you can get it any cheaper done than you're doing. Number one, and number 2.
If I wanted to be a millionaire, I would not be doing this to begin with. So that's the difference.
Yeah, but you got to pay the people in India, and you get all the.
Absolutely.
When I went to India, I paid what you're charging people for this, and you're getting a lot more service.
You do. And it comes in chunks. So basically, we charge $100 for the search, $100 US for the search, and we look for 6 months for a bundle. And if we cannot find a bundle for a person in 6 months, they get their $100 back. But if indeed you submit your thumb and you pay for it, then the chances of having a bundle is 99.9%. And if we do find a bundle, then the matching and reading part is done online because the search is a physical act in India. That matching and reading costs $400. So you only pay $100 first. And if indeed we find something, then it's $400 after that. And if there is no matching, you get your $400 back. And if you're unhappy with the reading for whatever reason, really, I give you $400 back too. It's that simple. I'm not fighting over it. It's not worth anyone's energy, time. If someone says, I'm not happy, you're not happy. Okay, I'm sorry that you're not happy, and here's your money back. That's it.
All right, so for people watching the video.
Sure.
First off, you have to ask a couple of questions. There's got people out there going, why do I need one? And I'm an old guy. Why do I need one? I've already had one done decades ago. Why would I need even a second one? Is that even something you want to do? And let's start with that. Why? How come? How valuable is this? What do you use it for? Let's give it the basics.
Okay. The easiest way, the most simple explanation is you want to lead a better life after your reading, period. Whatever better means to you. coming back to my own reading, my biggest challenge in life has been health. And I just didn't want to be in a hospital anymore. So to me, better life means not sick and not hospital. To some other people, a better life means having a relationship or having kids or making more money or having a more fulfilling job or knowing why the hell am I on planet Earth? Why? Is my soul in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing? And another big issue, another big reason for me personally was karma. Do I carry karma? And if I do carry karma, can I do something about it? Can I heal myself from the negative, big karma that impacts me in this lifetime? And getting a reading done, I can say, yes, absolutely, you can. And as we're now in the thick of things when it comes to the reading, allow me to just go through the process, and it helps people understand the whole thing a little better. And I try to be as concise as possible. Basically, it's a 3-step process: search, matching, and reading. And our system, we try to put it up in a way that it's as authentic and as real as possible. Whether you're in India or not makes no difference. It's the exact same process, the exact same system. For the search, you need to submit your thumbprint. Men right, women left thumbprint. And how we do it with the Institute is we have an impression form. We send it to every seeker who signs up. And there you just circle in male or female, your country of birth, and then you put down here, a lot of free space, your impressions. We explain how to put down your impressions. Men right and women left. Very important, friends out there. We're not rolling the thumbs back and forth, left and right. That's Hollywood movies. The reality is you go down straight. And because you have no experience in capturing your thumbprint, at least most of you, unless you've been booked by the police before, you gotta practice a little bit. So in the beginning, you might either press too hard or not hard enough, so it's smudged or too faint. But after a while, you figure it out. And then that form, you take a picture of, or you scan it, and you upload it to our system. We get it, we look at it, and you, Reverend, you already did it, so you know what I'm talking about. So for that, you need to organize an ink pad. You either borrow it from the office, or you get it somewhere. You can go to Office Depot or buy it online, Amazon, whatever you do. This is our police grade that we use. It's quite easy, quite simple. And you rub your thumb in it. And it's really high end. It's the very best you can get, or one of the very best, because you can just rub it off afterwards. And it's used by the police, hence police grade. Maybe not this exact brand, but the way it's set up. So we look at it, and if the impression is good, it goes to India, and then one of our readers picks it up, looks at it, literally, I'm telling you, through a magnifying glass to identify characteristics in your thumbprint. The secret lies in your impression, period. Male or female makes no difference. Where you're born makes no difference in the end either. It's the thumbprint name. According to the system is called Nadi Astrology, Nadi Reading, or the literal terminology is Indian palm leaf reading, because messages are written on dried palm leaves, hence palm leaf reading, and Indian because it's in India, primarily in the southernmost parts of India, in the state called Tamil Nadu. And to give you an idea, Tamil Nadu has 85 million inhabitants. So it's a big state. And it's the southernmost state of India, for those who've been to India. So people in Tamil Nadu don't speak Hindi, because most of the rest of India speaks Hindi. Tamil people speak Tamil. It's a very different language. And the reason why it's called Nadi, Nadi has many translations. Nadi means either pulse, your pulse, or is the name for palm leaf. Nadi. It's the name for seeker, So you're seeking your destiny. So Nadi can be translated in many different ways, hence Nadi Reading or Nadi Astrology. In this Nadi Astrology system, there are 108 characteristics. 108. And 108 is a very holy number in Hinduism. And by the way, the whole thing has nothing to do with religion, 0. Those of you who worry about this being a religious thing, it's not. The only reason why it's connected to Hinduism is sages in India, Saga has it, and they're called Maharishis. Maha means great, Rishi means sage, so great sages. We do not know exactly when, but we guesstimate between 2,000 and 3,000 years ago, so a long time ago. 18 Maharishis, by meditating to Lord Shiva, Goddess Parvati, were given the power of foresight. So then they dictated the lives of millions of people to their disciples, and then they started to write down the messages on dried palm leaves. This is a bundle. Each bundle only carries palm leaves for people that have the same thumbprint name. Male or female makes no difference. Where they live makes no difference. There are thousands, maybe tens of thousands of a bundle or bundles with one thumbprint name. And as we're talking about this, so this is a bundle, and these bundles are stored in archives across, for the most part, southern India, because that's where it all started. If you want to know exactly where it started in now a village called Batishwaran Koil. It's about 5-6 hours south of the capital city called Chennai. And this is a mock-up, so I can use it and take it also to expos. These are leaves written in ancient Tamil. Ancient Tamil means it doesn't exist anymore, because today people speak modern Tamil. And the real ones are very brittle, obviously, because they're now dry. So these disciples didn't literally write on palm leaves, they etched. They used a special tool. When the leaf was still juicy, they were scratching the message into it, and when it dries up, the message comes through. And then they put them in bundles like this, also known as books. And these bundles are now in hundreds, maybe thousands of small libraries and archives. Coming from the West, when you think of a library, you think, oh, temperature controlled, air conditioned, water dispensers. Far from it. These are little holes in a wall somewhere. They're just stored somewhere. And if you're in the system, you know where to look, and that's how it works. It is pure chaos. India is pure chaos, and yet it somehow works. Don't ask me how, but it works somehow. We use brokers even to look after them. If these bundles are not within the vicinity of my office, we go further away and even further away, and it could even go out of state if necessary. But for the most part, you stay in the region. And then these readers and offices and archives and families trade and then lend one, and then they get it back. And so they help one another to make sure that a person gets, a seeker can be serviced. So these bundles are all over the place. And each one of these bundles is purely dedicated to one thumbprint name, coming back to where we started. 108 characteristics. Your thumbprint name is like an imprint. It's like a genetic stamp that you were given at birth, unchangeable. And it really tells a lot about you as a human and your struggles or easy life that you've had and will have until you die. For example, it could have Iru Suri. Iru means two, Suri means cycles, energy cycles. So your life is always in twos. Or it could be Urusuri, meaning one cycle, one energetic sphere. Varivata is like a zebra crossing. You know, the crossings on a zebra, black and white. So if you have a Varivata in you, in your thumbprint name, It means your life has been changing between black and white, darkness and light. So it's an up and down, up and down, up and down. And depending on how many words your thumbprint name has, it doesn't have to, but usually it's 3 sections. One for early life, one for middle life, and one for later in life. So Irusuri, for example, Varivata, and Sangu, which is a seashell, the shell that Shiva holds in his hands. So each one of
that shell thing, so one of those ones you blow into like a horn.
It stands for a lot of good things. You know, wisdom. When you speak, your word is heard. People follow you. So as I'm already explaining you, these little words, segments, when put together, have a huge meaning. Huge. And if you're open and self-reflected, and you've done some research or journeys into yourself, and when the reader tells you your thumbprint name, explains your thumbprint name, which we do in our readings. That's the very first thing we do in our readings. We tell you, this is your thumbprint name, and that's what it means. But I get to that later. So it's very important that you submit a good impression. The reader figures out your thumbprint name, goes on a search, and then finds one of these bundles, usually 2 or 3. And when this is found, and it's a physical act, there is no computer, not even a book of any kind, a registry where these bundles are registered. No, hell no. You know, we're talking India. It's chaos, pure chaos. So they go from one archive to the next, to the next, to the next, either on a bicycle or on their moped or using public transportation, a bus, you know, so they go, or we engage brokers, and they go and look and look for these bundles, because each one of these bundles has a number. Here you can see 22, for example, and this stands for a specific thumbprint name. And then they look, they go into the archives, look, you know, the first they have to dust it off, and then they look, and then they see, oh, cool, there is one with this thumbprint name that we need, and he pulls it out, brings it to the office. And then once it's in the office, we send the seeker an email saying, congratulations, we got bundles for you. So the search is a physical act that happens in India, period. And that takes a while. On average, I can tell you, it takes about a month, on average, let's say between 3 and 6 weeks. It could be the next day, of course it could be, if by pure chance, one of these bundles with your thumbprint name is right in the reader's own little library. Does it happen often? No, not really. So then they have to go for, yeah, you're a lucky guy. So then, yeah, it's just the way it is. And so it's a physical act. We look for 6 months. And if there is no bundle for you, don't get upset. Don't be sad. It doesn't mean that you don't have a bundle at all. It just means you don't have one now, because you are supposed to get a reading when you're supposed to get a reading, period, not before and not after. So according to this system, your energies change every year, and you can start a new search 6 months after the first search ended. So that means a year after you submit your first impression, you can submit again and see if there is a bundle for you. Most likely there is. It even happened to the best of us. His name is Deepak Chopra. As far as I know, he had to search twice. First time didn't work, second time it worked, and he wrote about his experience in his book, The Book of Secrets, 2003, I think it was published. Excuse me, I need to drink some water because I've been speaking so much. Now, once the search comes to an end, a physical act, we move on to the second and the third part, which we do online, called matching and reading. So matching and reading happen in one Zoom call. As I explained to to you before, California friends, West Coast friends, 10 p.m. West Coast time, or 7 a.m. East Coast time. For the Europeans, it's easier because then it would be 1 p.m. for the Europeans, and so forth. So then in this live Zoom call, where the reader sits on the right side, the interpreter on the left side, and you have the moderator in the call too, the reader will then open up this bundle in front of you in the matching process, and then start looking at the first leaf. And whatever information is the most prominent information that he sees in the first leaf, he reads it out to you. For example, you're married. And all you must do is to either say yes or no, correct or incorrect, right or wrong. No more information needed. So if you're married, you say yes. As an example, let's say you're married, but you're going through divorce. So if you, when he says you're married, you're still legally married, your answer must be yes. And not, yes, but I'm going through divorce. No importance, you know? So yes and no. Then if you say no, then obviously this is not your leaf, it's somebody else's leaf, another soul's leaf, so we'll go to the next one. Which now brings me to explain to you that these leaves are written in ancient Tamil. Today they speak modern Tamil. It's kind of like ancient Greek and modern Greek. A modern Greek person cannot read or understand ancient Greek. They would have to study it. Same thing with Tamil people. So the reader's education is huge. It takes him years to be able to understand, find, and then decipher the code, and then give a reading. And how it's done, because there is no school that you go to and learn palm leaf reading. What usually happens is grandfather, father, son, grandson, it's passed on through generations, where the younger one services the older one in the beginning by cleaning the office and cooking and going shopping. And after a while, the reader will start sharing the information and teaching the young one to then eventually over the years become a reader himself. So the reader needs to know ancient Tamil. Then two, these palm leaves are written in a metaphorical, poetic form, not in simple sentences. So no palm leaf ever has written, the seeker's name is Reverend Bill. No, absolutely not. Not that easy. It's in a symbolic way, mysterious way, and on top of it, in Tamil, which is a sound-based language. Unlike all Western languages, doesn't matter which one, all of them are letter-based, A, B, C, D. Tamil is sound-based, a syllabic language, kind of like Chinese Mandarin. So a sound in Tamil can be converted into many different letters. Doesn't matter which language, but many different letters. So for example, it looks at the second leaf in this case, because the first one we said we're not married. And then the second one says, oh, your first name contains the letters A, O, I, E, U, because it can be converted into one of these. And if your name contains one of these, you say yes. And if it doesn't, then you say no, that's not your leaf. It goes to the next one. Again, you only say yes if one of them is in it. You never say yes, the O, my name is O. No. Just yes or no. That's all he needs to know. So as long as you say yes to a statement, the reader stays on it and goes deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. So by the end of it, when he finds your leaf, through a process of elimination, if you wish, he, the reader who has no clue who you are, all he knows is your thumbprint name, your gender, and your country of birth, he then will tell you your first name, your mother's first name, your father's first name, your date of birth, your time of birth. Sometimes your spouse's name or even your ex-spouse's name, which is a shocker to some divorced people. Why the hell do they mention my ex-husband? Because that person, as a soul, to your soul was important. So your ex, that happened to my mom, by the way. She always got nuts and they mentioned my father's name in her reading. Siblings, how many you have. Gender, kids if you have any. Gender, how many. So you know it's you, period. If there is ever doubt, then it's not you. It's that simple. That's called matching. And the matching takes anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour or an hour and a half. I don't know. Usually just 30, 45 minutes. And then, of course, that's the shocker because, wow, you being a Western person with the craziest names, being Norwegian, Scandinavians, I have a hard time pronouncing their first names. So can you imagine that a reader in India who's never heard these names pronounces it? It's like, oh my God. So it's always a beautiful experience to moderate the reading where their names are revealed. It's like, oh, this is a beautiful journey. I love it. Totally love it. Being a moderator. So because I can feel I was in their shoes too. So that's called matching. So the matching comes to an end. You know it's you. And what we do, we give everyone a 15-minute break, because after an hour, you might need to just calm yourself down, get a cup of coffee or water, or even a shot, just to make sure that you are okay. The reader, of course, needs a break too, because they're going to go to the bathroom and get a cup of coffee or whatever. And then the reading starts. The reading starts with the moment you get the reading done on that day, because obviously you were supposed to get the reading on that day. And the reading is based on three things: your overall energies at the time of the reading, not your mood. Doesn't matter if you had a fight with your wife or not, makes no difference. It's your energies, because as I explained to you before, according to the system, your energies change every year. So based on your energies. Secondly, on your thumbprint name, and of course, astrology. And it gives you a likely trajectory from the moment you get the reading done until you die. A likely trajectory. It's very important for me to share with you that your life is not set in stone. It's not. You're the one who creates your reality, period. Do I believe that we have a like a base 20% with which the basement, the foundation that we start off with? Yes, let's say 20% of your life, that's it. But the 80% of it, you create. So you have free will, choice, and nobody ever takes it away from you. The reading is only here to guide you, to help you. And based on those three parameters I just told you, to give you a trajectory, and then it's up to you to take the advice or not. If the reading tells you turn left, nobody forces you to turn left. You can still turn right or go straight or don't do anything. So that trajectory, and in that, the trajectory comes roughly in 2-3 year chunks until you die. And in those 2-3 year chunks, the reader shares with you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So if it's a good time, seize it for whatever it's worth, meaning, the years between ages 45 and 48, great time to start something new, for example, or change your living place, or find a soulmate. So that's good, so you're ready for it. If it's not so good, if it's a challenge, health challenge, money challenge, relationship challenge, at the end of the reading, the reader will tell you homework you can do to fix things. Either completely fix it so it won't happen at all, or reduce the impact. It will also tell you the years where you're impacted by, for example, planets. Saturn is always I'm a friendship bitch to have, or the shadow planets. Rahu, for example, Ketu, shadow planets mean they don't have a physical form, and yet they impact us. So they will tell you that too. You will be under the impact of. And then at the end, they will tell you what you can do to at least minimize the impact, or if you can, just overcome it altogether. So that's the reading part. And it covers all aspects of life: family life, kids, grandchildren, health, career, money, spirituality, you name it, the whole 9 yards. Because what we do is a so-called whole life reading. Palm leaf is split into chapters. So there are 12 chapters. In India, you can get a chapter reading, which is focusing just on one aspect of your life. That's health maybe, or family, or career, or spirituality. We do a whole life reading. It covers it all. And hence it takes a while. It takes about an hour and a half or so. In the beginning of your reading, we lay out the foundation, the basics, by explaining your thumbprint name, very important. Then each thumbprint has dots, energetic dots, a minimum of 3, but it could be more, 4 or 5. And each dot represents an area of your life: family life, relationship, kids, spirituality, money, career. So these 3 dots, usually it's 3. If you have 4 or 5, makes for practical reasons, no big difference. And then the reader can also tell you if the dot is good, blessed, mediocre, or not so good, even blocked. And then you understand, I do have a block in my family life, because you have never been married. And if you do get married, you get a divorce. It tells you that's the reason why. Or you have no kids, or whatever. It could be a generational block. So he tells you all that, and then he tells you what you can do to fix it. or at least to reduce the impact. And if indeed you have a family block, then the reader, like I had a reading today, or was it today or yesterday? The lady had 2 divorces already and had a new boyfriend, and she was thinking of getting married. The reader said, no, don't get married. Partnership is perfect. Live with him, not an issue. But if you get married, you will separate again because you have the block. Even if you do, she could do a puja to fix things. And by doing the puja, she could make sure to stay with this guy. No separation, but he still no marriage for you. It's not good for you. So that's the foundation. Plus, the reader will tell you your Vedic astrology sign versus your Western astrology sign, which birth star you have in Vedic astrology, because they're important, which star you were born under. And only then we start with the actual reading. So once everything's, the foundation is laid, you start the reading. And then at the end of the reading, you have time to ask questions. Of course you do. As many questions as you want, because we really want to make you as comfortable as possible. There is no time limit. If you ask for half an hour, fine. If you ask for an hour, fine. If you have no questions, also fine. In the end, the reader will also tell you if you carry karma or not. And if you do carry karma, well, we all carry karma, period. But we only talk about a big enough negative karma that impacts your life now, because that's the only one that needs fixing. Good karma is beautiful. You don't need to fix it. And minor karma has a big impact either. But if it's big enough, then the reader will give you an in-depth karmic reading. Your name, your status, the country you lived in, the year you lived in, the situation that happened, and then what you committed to now suffer from what you're suffering now. And then the reader will tell you what you can do to fix it, because you can, according to this system, fix things now. So that's a karmic reading. If you don't have karma, the reader will say, you have no karma, good for you. If you have connections with India, he will tell you, yes, you have a connection with India. And maybe even sometimes when you lived in India. And so to some people, it rings a bell because they can feel the connection they have with the country. Or any other country, by the way. Sorry, not just India. You could say you have a connection with Germany, or, and so forth. And so that's a karmic reading. And if it's your last life, he will tell you that too. He will say, oh, this is your last life. You will go to nirvana, moksha, liberation. Or you have to come back. How many times? They can tell you that as well. Now, it's very important, if it's your last life, you have very special duties. You have social duties and spiritual duties, because you're not coming back anymore. Many people who don't have kids, and I'm among them, and I always thought I would have kids, but I don't have any kids. If you don't have kids, then for most people, that's their last life. Because if you have kids, you leave behind karma. You create new karma. That's the reason why it cannot be your last life. So in my case, when my reader told me it's my last life, I was like, oh, thank God, that's it. I don't have to come back. Then social and spiritual duties means social duties is to do good things, like to help other people. You have a social duty. It could be something minor, just helping an elderly lady across the street consciously, or with heavy bags, or looking after kids, or it doesn't have to be something huge. Small, consistent, conscious social duties. Those who need help, small or big, makes no difference. And then the second duty you have are spiritual duties, meaning you have to help other people to find their way or to grow their spirituality in any way you can possibly do. Teaching them yoga, meditation, talking about palm leaf reading, energy healing, makes no difference really. Anything and all is okay. So social and spiritual duties. And so once the reading, so that's all part of the reading. And then once you come to an end, you have no more questions, and you talk about your karma and the whole 9 yards. Then finally comes your homework, the pujas. Puja means prayer, ceremony. And in modern terminology, you can say it's your homework, really. It's an energy shifting exercise in modern terminology. And there are several different types of pujas. One is so-called temple puja. Temple puja is a puja that you need to do. And the puja could be either a mantra or a chant dedicated to gods or goddesses. For example, repeat this mantra 17 times dedicated to Shiva on 7 consecutive Mondays. And you do it. We send you the picture of Shiva, you print it out, you create a little altar for yourself in a quiet corner of your house or apartment. And you just chant that puja to the best of your abilities for 7 Mondays in a row. And then you will move on to another one, maybe dedicated to Ganesha or, I don't know, Parvati. And so these are temple pujas. These are weekday temple pujas. And each puja, each weekday sequence, because you must do them 7 Mondays in a row, and you cannot miss a Monday, because if you miss a Monday, you have to start from the first Monday again until you hit 7 Mondays. It's a very simple concept. How serious do you take your healing? That's it. Do you really want healing or not? If you do want healing, then you better make sure that you are focused 7 Mondays in a row, independent of your regular life. That's it. Because I travel 250 days a year. I travel a lot. I did every single puja in a different hotel room in a different city. And I did it. I carried the pictures with me, and I brought tea lights with me, and incense, and I bought flowers in each city I went to. So I had my little altar in every hotel room, and I did it. I didn't miss one because, I didn't want to get sick anymore, period. I am sick and tired of being sick, really. So it's possible. Basically, it shows the universe, are you taking your own healing seriously or not? Done. And so that's so-called temple pujas. And a temple puja is not only a mantra or chant, it could also be a physical act. So when I had my reading done, in my first reading, I've done 2 so far. In my first reading, I was told funny things, like, of course, mantras and chants too, but I had to donate clothes. And I also had to do on 2 consecutive Wednesdays. They have to be done exactly as prescribed to you. No going back and forth and interchanging things. No, So I was doing my pujas, and I donated clothes. I went to a shelter here. Remember, when I had my reading done, I moved to Budapest, and I had no clue about the city at all. So it really was a challenge for me too. And then it said on 2 Wednesdays, after I did the first few, on 2 Wednesdays, feed the needy. I asked the reader, what do you mean by feed the needy? Should I go to soup kitchen? Should I donate money? Or should I just buy a sandwich and give it to a bum on the street? I have no idea what to do. And all he said is, you figure it out. Oh my God, it was stress. I was new to the city, not idea what to do. And I really didn't want to miss a day, because I do take my healing very seriously. I really do. And then I'm telling you, it was that morning, I couldn't even hardly sleep the night before. I was like, oh my gosh, I still have no clue what to do. But then I woke up, bam, it hit me right then and there. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you, it's so easy. I just said, you know what? I go to these regular cafes. I'll have my regular cafes. And I know that some people show up that, in my opinion, don't have enough money. So when I was sitting in the cafe and I observed an elderly lady, which I've seen before, and I presume she doesn't have much money. So I told the waiter, you know what? I'm going to pay for her. Just don't tell her. Beautiful experience, I'm telling you. Oh, beautiful indeed. So when she wanted to pay, and the waiter said, no, it's already paid. And she was looking, why? What's confused? What an amazing experience. So I did that the next Wednesday too, and I've been doing it ever since. Little acts of kindness. When sometimes I'm in a cafe and I see, I don't know, a young couple or fighting or crying or distressed or this and that, I just pay them their coffee and say, you know what, hopefully it shifts your energies and you have a better day after this. And I've been doing so now for 7 years. It's quite a beautiful thing to do, and anyone can do it. Little acts of kindness go a long way. Doesn't cost you much money, and yet you pay back to the universe. So it's either a physical act or a mantra chant. And then you can also be prescribed a so-called mantra puja. And mantra pujas must be performed by a priest in a temple. You can either have it done at home, wherever you live. And if you know a priest, and you trust a priest, a Hindu priest, obviously, because otherwise they would not know what to do. Or alternatively, of course, we work with quite a few priests because we've grown tremendously over the years. So we engage the service of quite a few priests. And they're all beautiful souls, I assure you that. They will organize it in one of the temples in the area that we're in. And it could be either 108 days of a chant, early morning and evening. For 108 days, the priest goes to the temple,
buys the ingredients and chants whatever he needs to chant, or 144 days, or a fire ceremony, either done in a temple or at the seashore. So there are many things that, many pujas that can be prescribed to you. And it's up to you to have it done or not, because it's for extra money, really, because it goes to India, and it's a service from us to you. We give the priest the money to buy the ingredients, and of course he needs to make a living too, so he makes some money by doing so. And so that's our contribution back to India. And that's the puja part. And after the puja reading, we say bye-bye to the in office, and the moderator stays with the seeker, still on a Zoom call. And then the moderator explains the pujas to the seeker afterwards, because it's a lot of information. They're all overwhelmed by everything. And then we're going through the pujas step by step to make sure they understand. And if they need to decompress, then they decompress and talk about the experience of the moderator. And only then we say bye. So that's a 3-hour journey, or it could be 4 hours too. Sometimes it takes longer. And then 2 weeks after the reading, we send all the information, as I told you before, the recording of the reading, the pujas typed up beautifully in a PDF format, alongside all the pictures of the gods and goddesses, the pictures of the palm leaf, because the palm leaves have to remain in the bundle. The bundle goes back to the library. And at some point in the future, the same palm leaf is being utilized for another person. So it's recycled. And the chat history too. So that comes in a downloadable link. So that's the process. There's a lot of work involved. And then the reading comes to an end. And then it's up to the seeker to actually do the pujas. And I can only beg you to do. And they can also opt in to have the pujas done in India. So I hope I didn't overwhelm you with all the information that I gave you, but I wanted to be as concise, as detailed as possible. I could be a lot more detailed too, don't get me wrong, but I tried to wrap it all up and present it to you in as small a nutshell as possible.
Well, having gone through this before, I was naive when I got mine done. My guru sent me, and I was saying I didn't believe in it. Honestly, I was the biggest skeptic going in.
You do,
because I said my thumbprint, and there's possibly, and it's told the same thing. It could be months, it could be this, and I went in there, and an hour or something later, they got it, and maybe really skeptical, and I'm going, but the guru sent me there and said, no, they will have it, which kind of lines. It was a whole different energy.
Yep.
So when people are going to India to get this done, so what people don't realize, if they're only going to be there 2 or 3 weeks, they may not be able to find a place and have that place find the leaf and get it anyway. So you're providing an internet service where everything can be done from the person's home.
Correct.
Thumbprint, send in, scan to you, you send it over there, they do the search. So that is a huge service. I don't think people that have looked into this realize that is a big deal. And the fact that you print stuff out afterwards. When I finished my reading and the guy went, and here's my pujas, and I got this book and it's all written in something, I had to trust that I was doing things, remembered things. I had to trust that I remembered things correctly. So I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the depth and the breadth of what you're offering. And I just want to throw that out to you. But what we need to do, and I will post it on the information, printed information on the YouTube here, but I think people got to know how to get a hold of you, your website, and the initial place to contact you. So if you could kind of give us a website that they could go to for your institute, that'd be good.
It's literal. It's IndianPalmLeafReading.com. Indian, because it's in India. Palm leaf, because it's written on palm leaves. Reading, because it's reading.com. So IndianPalmLeafReading.com. You will find all of our information on our website. You can send us an email to info@IndianPalmLeafReading.com. info@IndianPalmLeafReading.com. And we answer as fast as we can. We're here to help people and make sure that you have the very best possible experience, the most powerful experience, the most life-changing experience, finding answers to your questions. Really, it comes from the heart. It's a calling more than anything else. How I see it is, of course, I want to help seekers so they don't need to go to India, because to most people, they never go. And we get sometimes also emails saying, oh, I'd rather do it in India. I'm like, okay, no worries, good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck.
Really.
I'm saying good luck. And of course, if somebody insists and goes to my specific office, I'm like, there you go. Good luck finding it, but there it is. And they say, oh, I'm just going to go to, in India. And good luck. Please be careful. 80% of all of it is fake. 80, like the vast majority is fake. They would tell you anything just to sell you a palm leaf reading. It took me a long time. And as I said, I spent a lot of money and time in order to find the right people, create the institute the way it is, so that I can put my good name. Again, that's the only thing I have, my good name behind it. But I'm more than happy to tell people where to go in India if they really wanted to, not an issue. So indianpalmleafreading.com or info@indianpalmleafreading.com. We are basically a conduit. We're basically a platform bringing the seeker in and providing a reading for locals, and through that giving jobs. And because it's a calling, we pay them way more than they usually get. It's important for me to tell you. So your money also goes to India, because my thought process is I want to make sure that they stay where they are. We've lost many good readers, the next generation, because they go up north for better jobs, IT jobs and whatever else they do in India, because it's a breadless job. It's spiritual and it's hard and it's uneasy, and they need to study for a long time. It doesn't happen overnight to become a reader. So yeah, regrettably, we've lost, not me personally, but the system or palm leaf readings per se have lost good readers and interpreters. So we provide kids with a job so that they learn how to speak English, so they can stay where they are, where their families are. Because in India, family is very important. They don't necessarily want to go up north or somewhere else. They want to stay where they are. And we're in a very small area, about 5 hours south of the capital city called Chennai. So we help seekers and we help India. So that's important for me to share with you too. We want this to be win-win for everyone. And so far, the journey has taught me that we're on the right track, because we've really helped. We have a huge satisfaction rate, 98% or so. We have only 5-star ratings on Facebook and Google. And I'm very proud and humbled really by it, that we've been able to provide help and support and service to people, and that they in return help us. They spread the word and say, hey, this was authentic, this was good, it was solid, and go for it. And it's through the support of people that are reading them with us before we find more seekers, people that trust the process and realize, wow, we can trust these guys. It's good. We can get it done. And if they're not happy, you still get your money back. So there is no risk involved, no, at all.
Yeah, that's something you don't get in India. Nobody's going to give you your money back guarantee in India. So you're offering something that's not even offered there, really. If they've done the work, they want to get compensated. But it's eye-opening to see this entire process laid out. I think people just, they hear about these things. Most people are skeptical. I was skeptical. I mean, I can be honest with you. I go, even after I got it, I'm going, I was impressed by a couple things that kind of won me over. I went into there and I thought, because I made a video and I said that he had it written on the thing. I thought when he was reading and spelling out my mother's name, Marcella, letter by letter, I thought it had to be written in English. And I said something in my video, and then somebody goes, no, they don't have English letters on there. I just assume when he is holding it like that he's reading it off, spelling it. So now I realize that no, it's sounds, but they spelled my mother's name, they spelled my name, they spelled my wife's name. And so it's not like they took your thumbprints and ran them through the database for the FBI in the United States and got a dossier on you, right? So it was impressive. And from watching your videos on testimonials, I'm thinking that people are getting that same kind of experience. The people I find that say that the reading wasn't good, this is between all of us watching this, I guess there's no between me and you, but it's like when I help people or I do a video, people want to feel special. And if the reading shows their previous lifetime that they were just a poor person, they weren't a great rishi or anything, they want to feel special. If they don't get that, like I was this great person, this is my last lifetime, when there was a bad reading. instead of it being a good reading and an honest reading, they're looking for a stamp saying they're special.
Yes.
And since we are all special, no one's special. It's like, we're all in this thing. We're all one family. Which brings me to my question. You bring this thing out, and I thought about that because it's thumbprint and it's this whole family group. And the first 6 leaves that they went through on my reading, it was close. I mean, I said no, and then finally put the leaf down. But I thought, well, that's odd. Whoever these other people are, they're really similar, very similar. Is that like a soul family?
Yeah. That's the reason why I said all leaves in one bundle carry the same thumbprint name. So you are soul sisters, soul brothers. You do not know them, of course. They might be, a woman from Australia, a man from Germany, or whatever. But you are somehow connected because you carry the same thumbprint name. Yes.
Those other ones may be for a decade or a century before or after, right?
Yes, could very well.
I'm not in there by this time. This is the 21st century. There's going to be these people.
No.
So, well, I want to thank you, Dr. Q. I like that because I always think James Bond, 007, and I got Dr. Q. But
thank you.
I'm looking forward to my own personal reading, and we're going to share that. And everybody's got to realize that, they got to find it. I've already had one done. Maybe that's the only one I got for this lifetime. But if there's a chance that there's something continued after this, because my first one ended 2020. There was nothing after that. It was like, no, that's the end. So I'm hoping to make my next birthday in March of 2021, because then I got a little future. So right now we'll take and see how much of a future I got left. So thank you again, Doctor. Stay out here. Me and you are going to chat. But for those watching this, go check them out. Indian Palm Leaf Reading Institute. You can find their website.
IndianPalmLeafReading.com. IndianPalmLeafReading.com. Or send us an email to info@IndianPalmLeafReading.com. Yes. We are on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Google, even on Instagram. And I'm the biggest social media disliker, to be honest with you. I don't like any of it. But regrettably, whether I like it or not, we have to be on it. So we have by now a pretty big fan base, or however you call it, community on Facebook, and of course Instagram by putting out their pictures and little videos, and YouTube, where we have quite many videos explaining things and testimonials and this and that, the other. And just to finish this up, I brought this from a temple in India with me. You can buy these. Of course, only where we are, not every temple has it, but where we are in the area. These are the 18 Maharishis, great sages. Maharishi, great sage. The guy in the middle, the guy with the big belly here, is Maharishi Agastya, and 17 others. So these 18 are thought to be the original 18 Maharishis who wrote leaves for people. I know for a fact, because you sent me the information, your reading was on an Agastya leaf. So you had an Agastya reading already. So while we're doing the search for your next bundle, it would be one of the other 17 Maharishis, and see if one of them wrote one for you too. So in short, you can have 18 bundles. You can have quite many readings. Is it likely? I don't know. Is it possible? Yes.
And we are changing. Honestly, a decade ago, I'm not the same person. I mean, literally, there's been major things. Yes. For the record, for those people who didn't get a reading, I'm the only guy I've ever met, and I know several dozen people who got readings, but everything other than my death ending, everything that was predicted and foretold happened. There's nothing left to unfold unless me not going forward is the end of this thing. So I don't know if that's usual, unusual. I'm thinking if somebody's young, they've changed. It's just the fact that they know the future down the road. It's like looking at atoms. It's changed since you're observing it. I mean, if you know you got a health issue coming up and you got a long enough time, you've changed that by doing things because you're aware of it. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for your time, Dr. Q.
Thank you.
and we'll be chatting. I'm going to say goodbye to people that are watching that, and I hope that we've educated them and at least stirred an interest in them. Any parting words you want to give?
I just want to say thank you for your trust and support. I really appreciate it. I wouldn't be here without you. And namaste, from my soul to your soul. And in Tamil, thank you means Nandri. Nandri to everyone who listens. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think I got the recording off. All right, I think that's good. I'm going to have that up probably today or tomorrow morning.